After Jason and I got engaged, his family did something utterly ridiculous. They actually asked for a wedding refund. As if that wasn't enough, they called the police, accusing me of defrauding them of a huge wedding planning budget and the money they gave me as blessings. At the police station, they went on with their outrageous claims. Who spends this much money on a wedding? Are we crazy or something? Sir, this is fraud. And let's not forget we're not wealthy. That $20,000 is our hard-earned money. Faced with Jason's family's absurdity, I just smirked and agreed to give them the refund without hesitation. But his mom, seeing that I was being so agreeable, only got bolder. All right, Emily, since you're so understanding, once you're married, you better take good care of my son. And it would make us very happy if you had 2 more kids as soon as possible. At that, I couldn't help myself. I burst out laughing. Married? Me and Jason? Their family must really think they're something special. That night, I threw an extravagant wedding expense refund ceremony. The next morning, Jason's family found themselves trending on social media, becoming the latest gossip and a punchline for everyone. I was just about to sign the car purchase contract when the phone rang. Before our engagement, Jason and I had already agreed. His family would symbolically contribute $20,000, and I would buy a $50,000 new car as our wedding gift. Everything was going smoothly, or so I thought. But the first thing the caller said after I picked up left me frozen in place. Ms. Emily Carter. We've received a lawsuit. You are suspected of financial fraud. Please come to the police station as soon as possible. What? I almost dropped my pen. Officer, you must be mistaken. I've never done anything like this. Are you sure you've got the right person? But then the voice on the other end clearly listed my full name and license number. The amount involved was exactly $20,000. Without thinking, I glanced at Jason. His face immediately froze. What's going on? Isn't that $20,000 our wedding gift money? Your parents aren't just messing with us, are they? Jason's eyes flickered. And he hesitated before saying, it's nothing, probably a scam call. I'll handle it. Just sign the contract. We're buying the car today, remember? With that, he snatched my phone away and quickly walked out. His odd behavior instantly set off alarm bells in my mind. I quietly followed him and, to my surprise, overheard him talking on the phone in a low voice, his tone tense and impatient. Mom, didn't we agree not to bring this up? We haven't even gotten the car yet. If she starts suspecting something, it's all going to fall apart. All right, I'll take care of it. Don't worry. His voice trailed off as he walked further away, and though I couldn't hear him clearly anymore, a growing sense of dread settled in. This was definitely more than it seemed. Before Jason returned, I decisively signed the car contract. Following the process, I paid in full, got the insurance, and completed all the paperwork in one go. Everything went as planned, with one small difference. I crossed Jason's name right off the car purchase contract. I paid for every penny of this car. If he stayed out of trouble, we could continue on as if nothing had happened. But if he had other plans, I wouldn't be the fool in this game. About half an hour later, Jason finally showed up. When he heard that I had already taken care of everything, he visibly relaxed and eagerly reached for the contract to check it. With excitement, he said, "Baby, you really know me. I've been wanting this dream car for so long." I gave him a smile and gently placed my hand over his, keeping my tone light. "Let's not worry about the contract right now. Let's go check out our car first. The contract can wait." Without a second thought, Jason, completely unsuspecting, happily ran off to inspect the car. Seizing the opportunity, I quickly tucked the contract away and casually asked, "By the way, what exactly happened earlier? Was I really being accused of fraud? You were gone so long, I was so worried," I added, pretending to be concerned. Jason's smile faltered and he awkwardly rubbed his nose. It's no big deal. I think they just wanted you to go to the station." "No big deal. Then why was I being dragged into the police station? What were his parents up to now?" I didn't have time to wait through the tedious car pickup process. I hopped in the car, floored the gas pedal, and headed straight for the police station. The moment I walked in, I heard Jason's mother, Susan, shouting from the lobby. "Who would spend so much on a wedding? Are we crazy? Sir, this is fraud. We're not rich. That's $20,000, our hard-earned money. You have to help us." And then she actually grabbed the officer's sleeve and started throwing a tantrum, rolling on the floor. The officer, looking utterly exhausted, could only repeatedly try to calm her down and prevent her from disrupting the police station. When everyone noticed me walking in, it was as if they had just spotted a savior. One of the officers came over, speaking in a calm, steady tone. "Ms. Emily Carter, we've received a report. They claim you illegally received a large wedding fund of $20,000. Can you verify the situation? If the accusation is true, you may need to cooperate in refunding the money." Susan immediately became overly enthusiastic, nodding vigorously and practically spitting as she spoke. "Absolutely true. The money is in her account. Get her to return it." I stood frozen in place, my mind temporarily shutting down. What on earth was she saying? So, just one day after our engagement, my future in-laws had come to the police to accuse me of fraud? This had to be the pinnacle of absurd cases. I turned to Jason, forcing a smile as I suppressed the fury rising inside me. "We already agreed on the wedding gift money a few days ago, didn't we? Your family was there when we discussed it. No one objected. So what's going on now? Did something change, or is there a misunderstanding?" Jason's gaze flickered, his demeanor nonchalant as ever. He even patted me on the shoulder and casually said, "Emily, darling, don't misunderstand. My parents just think $20,000 is too much for them, especially since their finances aren't great right now. We don't need to make the wedding that extravagant. That would just be a waste of money. Don't worry about it, okay? The important thing is that after we get married, I'll treat you well. That's all that matters." And then he kept going more and more confidently, with not a hint of guilt in his voice. I stared at Jason's familiar yet strange face, feeling a sudden sense of disorientation. Just last week in front of my parents, he swore to God that he would always put me first, that he would never let me suffer, no matter the circumstances. We'd been together for 3 years. He wasn't the most outstanding man, but he was the most thoughtful. He would carry me for 2 miles to the ER when I twisted my ankle. He'd wake up every morning at 6 to make me breakfast, and whether it was raining or snowing, he was always there to pick me up and drop me off at work. He'd get up at 3 in the morning just because I suddenly craved a cup of hot chocolate. I always believed that if a man treated you well, then that was true love. But today I finally realized I was wrong. Marriage isn't just about being treated well. Because a man's kindness is the cheapest thing and it can change in an instant. When I really thought about it, we had always split our daily expenses evenly. He had never given me any expensive gifts, but I, on the other hand, had bought him and his family plenty of designer shoes and watches, all out of affection. I kept telling myself that our backgrounds were too different. He came from an ordinary working-class family, so I shouldn't have too many expectations of him. That's why I never asked for any money from his family. But his parents, maybe they were too satisfied with my family's status and wealth. When we first met, they generously offered to help with our wedding costs. Maybe they thought this would stabilize me and push Jason and me to marry sooner. But I never imagined that those $20,000 would mean so much to them. Seeing Jason's aggressive parents and him standing by, coldly watching, I couldn't hold back anymore. I let out a bitter laugh. "So, you're backing your parents up with this police report. And you even waited until I bought the car to bring me here. What, were you worried I'd back out?" Jason's face instantly changed and he snapped, clearly hit where it hurt. "Stop talking nonsense. What does the car have to do with this? Emily, are you really this superficial? Your family isn't missing a few $1,000. Without that $20,000, you're not getting married." There was his true face. Now that he had the car and the engagement, Jason thought he had me right where he wanted me. But what he didn't know was that the one thing I hated most in life was being manipulated. He thought he could take advantage of me. He was going to pay a price for that. "Why are you in such a rush? Do you think I'm that kind of person? It's just a refund. Of course I'll refund it." With that, I quickly signed the mediation agreement at the police station, voluntarily agreeing to return the $20,000 wedding gift. Susan, who had been so smug, found her smile faltering when she saw how smoothly everything was going. Her eyes narrowed, filled with suspicion. She squinted at me for a long moment before speaking in her usual sharp tone. "I warn you, don't try any tricks. When we say refund, we mean it. And that car? You gave it to my son voluntarily. Our family won't pay a penny for it. Don't even think about backing out. Once something's given, it can't be taken back. As I paused while signing, I looked up and met her eyes with a knowing gaze. So the money can be taken back, but the car can't. Susan's smug expression immediately froze, her mouth opening and closing as if she couldn't find the words. She knew she was in the wrong and for once fell silent, closing that incessantly chattering mouth. Once the agreement was signed, Jason grinned and stepped forward, eager to take my hand. Without hesitation, I pulled my hand away, watching as his smile faltered, but he still tried to soothe me with his usual empty words. Baby, don't worry. I'll definitely remember all the good you've done for me. When we're married, your dad can help us with the down payment for the house. And with your salary. Don't you think our life will be great? Trust me, I'm a potential goldmine. Marrying me? You're definitely getting a good deal. I didn't respond. I didn't even look at him. I silently grabbed my bag, casting a contemptuous glance at all of them, then turned and walked away without a second glance. Susan, seeing that I didn't react, snorted derisively, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Goodness, still not even married to Jason and already acting like this, showing us no respect. She grabbed Jason's arm and marched off toward the exit of the police station. But then her eyes caught sight of our new car and her expression suddenly lit up. In the next second she nearly lunged at it, caressing the hood and tapping on the roof with obvious pride. This is my son's car. Our family's car. She even pulled out her phone, excitedly recording a video as if the car had Jason's name on it. Hey everyone, look at my son's new car. Isn't it amazing? He bought it all by himself. I couldn't help but twitch my lips. My hand reached for the registration papers in my bag, almost pulling them out to slap her in the face. But I held back. The best way to bring someone down is to lift them up to the highest point first. After finishing the video, Susan eagerly uploaded it to the family group and her social media, her smile so wide that it seemed like her face would crack. She seemed in a remarkably good mood now, even softening her tone with me, but she still couldn't resist throwing in a warning. Emily, you'd better take good care of Jason. If you two have a couple of kids, my dream will come true. Don't be lazy. Your job is to take care of the man. That's a woman's duty. With that, she reached out her hand, smiling brightly. All right then, now hurry up and return the money to me. I took a step back, deliberately creating distance between us. Don't worry, I'll return the money, but not right now. After all, this money means a lot to you. To show how seriously I'm taking this, I think I should throw a formal refund ceremony and invite all our friends and family to witness it. Otherwise, without witnesses, you might accuse me of not returning it. And that wouldn't be good, right? Susan's smile immediately faltered. Her face turned bright red with anger, and her finger nearly jabbed into my nose, spitting with every word. Emily, what are you trying to do? You need to throw a party just to return some money? Are you out of your mind trying to humiliate me like this? Dream on. I shrugged, letting out a slow, mocking smile. Didn't you feel humiliated when I returned the wedding gift money earlier? Now, when I suggest throwing a formal ceremony for it, you're embarrassed. Susan, your family is shameless. Anyway, if this ceremony isn't held, I won't give you a penny. With that, I crossed my arms and stood my ground. Jason, seeing my firm stance, quickly pulled at his mother's sleeve, and the two of them whispered behind my back. Mom, just go along with it. We won't lose anything. I got a free car out of it. Susan's face twisted with reluctance, but when she heard car, her eyes lit up immediately. She hesitated for a moment, then reluctantly nodded, agreeing to my request. Objective achieved, I moved into action. That evening, I made sure to organize a grand wedding gift refund ceremony. I not only booked a restaurant but also hired a live band, making a spectacle of it all with loud drums and gongs, spreading the word across the town. On stage, I took the microphone with a bright smile. Good news, good news. Congratulations to Jason's family. After a successful engagement, they took their future bride to the police station and successfully reclaimed their $20,000 wedding gift. This is a major breakthrough in modern marriage. Let's give them a round of applause. Laughter erupted from the crowd, and passers-by couldn't help but gossip. $20,000? Is that considered big money? And it made it all the way to the police station. Oh my God, Jason is terrifying. He called off the engagement after it was done. Is he trying to get a free ride? And his future mother-in-law? She looks like a nasty piece of work. Who would want to marry into that family? Jason and his mom immediately turned red, bowing their heads in embarrassment and urging me to end the event. But little did they know, the real show was yet to come. Dinner went according to plan. In front of all our relatives and friends, I officially handed Jason the $20,000 check. Susan looked at the check, her face spreading into a grin, her wrinkles smoothing out with satisfaction. Just as they were about to boast about making a profit in front of the family, the large screen in the banquet hall suddenly lit up. On the screen, clear footage began playing of Jason and his mom earlier that day in the police station, their aggressive behavior captured perfectly. It looped Susan's words over and over. This is fraud. She scammed me out of $20,000. This is my savings. She bought this car voluntarily and our family isn't paying a penny. When you give something away, you don't take it back. The video played again and again, amplifying their deceitful faces for all to see. The room fell silent. Even Jason's relatives began whispering among themselves, their gazes becoming more and more disdainful. Meanwhile, the onlookers outside pulled out their phones, eagerly snapping photos and recording videos to post on social media. The next day, Jason's family was completely viral. Every major social platform was buzzing with their legendary move. Engagement ends with a police report, $20,000 refunded, and the fiancé vanishes. New era marriage revolution. A wedding gift refund guide. Bookmark this. Jason Miller. A man who profits from engagements. Susan was so furious she nearly fainted, smashing her phone at home and cursing me like a madwoman. You're a disaster. You haven't even married into our family and you've already ruined us like this. If we get married, will you just bully me forever? I shrugged innocently, smiling as I spread my hands in confusion. Married? Who said I was marrying Jason? This time not only was Susan dumbfounded but Jason was also stunned. Emily, what do you mean by that? We're already engaged, we're practically family now, and you think this is something to be proud of? It's just a refund. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? You need to apologize to my mom today. How laughable, he still thought I was throwing a tantrum. I rolled my eyes, laughing at the absurdity, and replied, What do you think I mean? You heard exactly what I said. Jason, are you out of your mind? You didn't think it was a hassle to return the money, but now that I'm breaking off the engagement, you find that troublesome. Listen carefully, I'll say this only once. I'm calling off the engagement. With that, I pulled out my car keys, turned sharply and walked away, ready to drive off and leave this whole farce behind. Jason stood there in shock, unable to believe it. He stammered, desperately pointing at me. Why, you stop. You can't leave. We've already sent out the invitations, we're engaged. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this will be? This is ridiculous. If you dare break off the engagement, I'll report you to the police. Report me to the police. Oh my God, this family's stupidity never ceases to amaze me. At first I just wanted to humiliate them on social media, but their thick skin is like bulletproof glass. Not only do they feel no shame, they're now turning things around and accusing me. I let out a cold laugh and turned to look at Jason, my eyes full of sarcasm. So, it's not embarrassing when I return the money. But it's embarrassing when I call off the engagement. Fine, no need for you to make a move. I'll call the cops myself. With that, I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. I have to admit, the police were efficient. Within 10 minutes they arrived on the scene. However, when they saw Jason and his mother, their faces immediately fell into an expression of exhaustion and helplessness. Mr. Miller, what's this all about this time? Didn't you just finish handling your wedding dispute? And now you're calling us again. The moment Susan saw the police, she rushed over. Clinging to the officer's legs, her face full of exaggerated grievance, like she was performing in a soap opera. Officer, we're just trying to get our money back and she's calling off the engagement? Isn't this fraud? Isn't that against the law? The officer listened, his face full of confusion. He glanced at me, then at Jason and his mother, his tone full of disbelief and exasperation. So, you mean to say, Miss Carter, even though you don't want to marry your son, they're trying to force you? Susan nodded vigorously, acting as though she had every right to do so. The marriage was arranged long ago. You should just take her back with us. The officer stared at them in shock, clearly thinking, what kind of logic is this? With a deep sigh, he seemed to feel as though his career had never prepared him for anything this ridiculous. Sorry, Mr. Miller, Miss Carter has already refunded the money. As for whether or not you two marry, that's her personal choice, and we don't have the authority to interfere. But if you continue to harass her, that will be considered illegal. Jason and his mother were finally silenced. Their faces were full of bitterness as they glared at me, but no matter how much they hated me, they couldn't do anything. Once the police left, Jason's mask finally slipped. Furious, he ran up to my car and clung to the hood, practically throwing himself onto it like a wild animal protecting its food. Want to break off the engagement? Fine. There are plenty of women chasing after me. But this car? Don't even think about driving it away. This was a gift from you during our engagement. It's in my name. So it's mine. He grinned maliciously, showing his teeth in what he thought was a threatening gesture, as though it might actually scare me. Susan wasn't about to back down either. She stormed up, pushing me out of the way, and shouted with exaggerated righteous anger, "My son's right. Since you're no longer part of our family. This car belongs to my son. Don't even think about taking it." I stared at them in disbelief. Were they really this shameless? Taking a deep breath to steady myself, I carefully controlled the urge to call the police again. Then calmly, I opened the car door and pulled out the car purchase contract I had prepared earlier. Since you want to argue, then let's look at the contract. I slapped the contract down onto the hood of the car, flipping it to the page with the owner's name, and pushed it right in front of them. Take a good look. Whose name is on this car? Jason frowned, and when he glanced down at the contract, his face drained of color. The name clearly written there was Emily Carter. Only my name. The money for the car? Paid in full from my bank account. The car. 100% mine. Both Jason and his mother's faces turned a sickly shade of green. Especially Jason, who looked as if he had just been drenched in cold water. He pointed at me, stuttering in disbelief. Emily, you lied to me. You tricked me. When we bought the car, didn't we agree it would be in my name? You be asterisk 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 asterisk. I couldn't help but sneer, not holding back one bit. When we talked about the wedding expenses, didn't you all say you'd pay me back? So you can break your promises, but I can't. But even with the truth right in front of them, this mother and son duo was still shameless. Suddenly, Jason threw himself onto the ground with a dramatic thud, and then quickly rolled backwards, positioning himself right in front of the car's wheels. I don't care, he shouted. You must split this car with me or you're not driving it anywhere. Susan immediately followed suit, throwing herself onto the ground beside him, wailing and throwing a tantrum. That's right. If you don't give my son half of this car, you're not driving it away today. We'll stay here and no one is leaving. I stood there completely speechless, watching this ridiculous scene unfold. Originally, I just wanted to embarrass them a little and have them back off. But since they were so shameless, why not make sure they were thoroughly humiliated? I took a deep breath and smirked, already knowing how this would end for them. I calmly pulled out my phone, opened the group chat I had with local reporters, and sent my location along with the message, "Gossip news, come quickly." Since the wedding planning refund drama had already gone viral in town, several media outlets had approached me for interviews about my experience. But I always thought it wasn't worth making a big deal out of, so I had turned them all down. However, since Jason and his mother were determined to make a spectacle of themselves, I wasn't going to stop them. I figured it was time for them to get some real fame, and I wasn't talking about local fame either. This time they were going to be known nationwide. I have to give credit to the local gossip reporters for their professionalism. Less than 10 minutes after I sent the message, a group of reporters arrived, fully equipped with cameras, microphones, and phones. They stormed up to Jason and his mother, not holding back as they bombarded them with questions. "Excuse me, are you Mr. Jason Miller and Mrs. Susan Miller? We heard that after your son's engagement, Mrs. Miller called the police and demanded a refund of $20,000 in wedding gifts. And now you're fighting over the ownership of a car? Isn't that a bit shameless? We're also curious, is this a marriage dispute or just a fraud scheme? $20,000. Do you really think that's such a huge sum? Also, we've heard that this car was bought in full by Ms. Emily Carter. Are you planning to return it? Jason's face turned beet red and he stared at the ground, not daring to speak a word. But his mother, Susan, was a different story. She immediately transformed into a warrior, yelling at the reporters and waving them away. Stop filming. Get out of here. This is a family matter. It's none of your business. And anyway, any woman who expects the man to pay for the wedding is a thief. I say no one should even buy them an engagement ring. Whoever keeps filming will be sued for invasion of privacy. She was so agitated that she shoved a reporter, nearly causing him to stumble and fall. But the reporters weren't so easily intimidated. Not only did they continue, but they pushed harder, purposefully provoking Susan. At this point, the neighbors who had been watching the scene couldn't take it anymore. They started shaking their heads in disgust and walked away. My God, this family's gone crazy. Anyone who marries into that family will probably be tormented for the rest of their life. Let's go. Don't get involved in their embarrassing mess. Finally, Jason seemed to realize things were getting out of hand. He raised his hand trying to block the cameras and angrily pulled his mother back. He lowered his voice and hissed, "Mom, enough. Stop it. We don't want the car anymore. Let's just go." Susan still tried to fight back, but when she saw the cameras from all directions she started to panic. She grabbed Jason and hurriedly fled, but before they left, Jason shot me one last furious glare, as if trying to threaten me with his eyes. I shrugged and grinned. Completely at ease. After all this, did Jason really think I was afraid of him? Whatever happens, bring it on. As expected, the entire fiasco exploded on social media that same day. If the last time Jason's family called the police over the wedding refund was just a fun spectacle for the town, this time, people were genuinely angry. After all, Susan's comment about women who expect the groom to pay for the wedding being thieves had offended most women. The comment section on social media erupted. So, her point is that any woman who accepts wedding planning money is a thief. This is insane. Is $20,000 really going to ruin your family? If you're so poor, don't make promises you can't keep. Poor Emily. This mother-son duo is terrifying. I hope Emily doesn't marry him. I'm a guy, and even I think what Jason did was beyond unacceptable. In just a few hours, Jason and Susan were getting roasted alive. The comments section was flooded, and the attention on the incident skyrocketed. This time, not only did Jason and his family fail to take advantage of the situation, but they ended up making fools of themselves. From now on, I bet no woman would ever want to go near Jason again. Seeing his reputation plummeting day by day, Jason finally got desperate. He started texting me, threatening that if I didn't post a public clarification he wouldn't let me off. I looked at my phone, sneered, and immediately blocked him. Let him stew in frustration. I thought this whole mess was nearly over. But then, to my surprise, Jason went and made a public spectacle of himself. He posted a so-called clarification statement on social media with the title, "Shocking. Emily Carter is a gold digger who never spent a penny in 3 years of dating." I was stunned. Almost spat my coffee out. What gold did Jason have that was worth me digging for? His family's credit card debt? Out of sheer curiosity, I clicked on the post. And when I did, I almost burst out laughing. Jason actually listed every single expense we shared over the 3 years we dated. From a $1 bottle of water to a $200 t-shirt, item by item, he meticulously listed everything. He even counted the 50-cent fee for public restroom use. Every single shared expense was accounted for. Even meals, subway rides, and daily necessities. And some things he used himself were also included in my tab. The total sum came to $25,438. That's about $24 per day for a whole 3 years. If that makes me a gold digger, then I have no words left. But Jason didn't find it ridiculous. No, he went full-on victim mode, posting on social media to beg for sympathy. Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Miller, and today I'm going to speak the truth. You all say I'm cheap and calculating, but you've all been tricked. For 3 years of dating, Emily never paid a cent. I've been supporting her. How many men can say that? willing to spend over $10,000 on a woman before marriage. I truly loved her, but she's using money as an excuse to slander me and drag my family into this media storm. The bills are right here and I have nothing to hide. Jason thought his heartfelt confession would make people sympathize with him and turn the tide. He probably expected everyone to start calling me a gold digger and flock to support him. The comment section took an unexpected turn and spiraled out of his control. This is the gold digger Jason's talking about? A woman who spends $24 a day. Wow, Emily's living large. $1 water bottles and $2 subway rides? Must be living like royalty. Hold on, did anyone else notice? The most expensive item on that list is Jason's own clothes. Some guys are truly outrageous, buying a t-shirt and charging it to their girlfriend. Jason didn't respond to the majority of the comments, but one particular one caught his attention and he responded seriously. Commenter, how can you charge Emily for the t-shirt you bought? That's ridiculous. Jason replied. She said it looked good so I bought it to wear it for her. Of course, it counts as her spending. At that, the entire comment section went silent for a moment, then erupted in laughter. Oh my God, what kind of idiot is this? I'm dying. According to Jason, if guys buy cars, houses, or video games, are they supposed to charge their girlfriends for those too? So buying a t-shirt for her to admire means she's paying for it? Wow, respect, dude. Instead of improving his reputation, Jason had handed himself a one-way ticket to internet ridicule. Of course, a handful of male commenters tried to defend him. Sure, Jason might be cheap, but that doesn't mean Emily didn't do anything wrong. Since Emily broke off the engagement, shouldn't she return the money he spent on her? I saw this comment and nearly laughed myself to tears. It was the most absurd thing I'd heard all day. What was even worse? Jason liked the comment and pinned it to the top of the thread. And then a bunch of guys started betting on whether or not I would pay the money back. Don't worry, I'll definitely return that money. But before I do, I need to do some calculations. Jason had no idea that when it came to keeping track of expenses, he wasn't the only pro. I could do the math too. That same day I posted a retaliatory message with a title just like his. Shocking. Jason is a sugar baby gold digger, fully supported by his girlfriend for 3 years. In the post I wrote a long rebuttal, carefully calculating all of Jason's debts. Hello, everyone. I'm Emily Carter. Initially I thought we'd just go our separate ways after the breakup and let bygones be bygones. I didn't want to bring this up again. But since someone insists on settling scores, let's be fair. No one should owe anyone anything. Here's a record of all the expenses I covered during our 3 years of dating. Note: these are all my expenses excluding shared costs. I'll definitely settle up with Mr. Miller, but since he wants to get into accounting, let's make sure he pays up too. Then I posted every single one of the bills over the past 3 years, converting them into a fair equivalent. I bought Jason an $8,000 watch for his birthday. For Susan's birthday, I gifted her a $30,000 limited edition bag. At Jason's cousin's wedding, I gave a $3,000 gift. Countless luxury clothes, shoes, hats, each item over $500. Not to mention the souvenirs for Jason's shameless relatives and friends. After tallying everything up, I spent nearly $150,000 over those 3 years, and I had receipts for every single expense. In comparison, Jason's petty little bills, $1 water, $2.75 subway fare, were absolutely laughable, not even worth mentioning. As soon as my post went live, the comments section exploded. Everyone was saying, I'm dying. The woman is way more generous than the guy. After all the math, Jason's not only in the red, but owes more than $100,000. Oh my God, talk about reverse gold digging. The girlfriend spends $150,000 and the guy calls her a gold digger. A guy who lives off his girlfriend and still dares to play the victim? He'd better come up with that money. Jason can't even pay $20,000 for wedding prep, and now he's supposed to cover $100,000? I bet that's killing him. Jason thought he could turn the situation around with his clarification post, but instead, I slapped him across the face with the truth. People rushed to his comment section and tore him apart, calling him the face of living off others. And it didn't end there. Someone found his phone number and started calling him, flooding his phone until he had to shut it off. His company noticed the massive fallout and fired him. Not only did Jason fail to recover any money, but he lost his job and reputation in the process. He was left with nothing. As the situation spiraled even further out of control, Jason finally cracked. In the dead of night, he sent me multiple desperate texts. "Emily, what's your problem? Those things were gifts and you're keeping track of them. I let everything go before, but now you're just trying to ruin me. Is this what you wanted? Now I've lost my job, are you happy? I didn't post that statement to make you pay me back. I'm not that petty. Let's just drop this and move on. It's over." His little drama was almost touching. I looked at the messages, couldn't be bothered to reply, so I just screenshot them and posted them on social media with my own caption. "Jason, you're thinking too highly of yourself. Who's keeping track of anything? Since you're so keen on settling scores, then let's make sure you pay me back too. No skipping out on your debt. Pay up or I'll see you in court." This update blew up online. Still trying to dodge paying up? Come on, soft boy, time to pay. Call the cops. Let him cry a little more. Nice one, girl. Jason was completely broken by this. This time he'd really dug his own grave. He was facing overwhelming internet backlash, along with impending legal action. No matter how shameless he was, there was no way out. In the end, his family scrambled together and finally transferred the $20,000 wedding prep fee, plus an additional $5,000 in compensation, straight to my account. When I saw Susan's face, full of anger and frustration, I couldn't have felt more triumphant. I thought this mess was finally over. As long as Jason and his family kept quiet, the online crowd would lose interest and move on to the next drama. But I never imagined Jason would show up at my office. And what's worse, he actually had the nerve to make a scene in front of all my colleagues, shouting loudly, "Emily, look, didn't we agree on this? The wedding prep cost $20,000 and I've paid you back. I promise I won't ask for it back again. So, does that mean you'll marry me now?" I was completely stunned by his shamelessness. Forcing a smile, I stomped down hard on his foot with my high heel and said, "This money is what you owe me. It has nothing to do with wedding expenses. A man like you, cheap and calculating, why on earth would I want to be with you? Oh, by the way, it's not just me, no other woman would want you either." Then, as a finishing touch, I wiped the bottom of my shoe like I'd stepped in something disgusting. Jason's parents saw this and instantly went into full drama mode. They started throwing themselves around my office, acting like they were auditioning for an award-winning performance, crying and wailing, "My poor son. He was deceived by this vicious woman. Now he's lost both his love and his money. Jason lost his job, his wedding is ruined, he might even commit suicide. If Jason can't live anymore, then we'll just die right here." With that, they charged straight toward my desk. The office erupted into chaos. My colleagues were scrambling to pull out their phones, preparing to call the police. But I shot them a look, signaling for them to stop. If we called the police now, they'd just be temporarily removed, and in a few days they'd be back at it again. To get rid of these leeches for good, I needed a more permanent solution. So I faked fear, trying to sound pitiful and pleading, "Please calm down. Let's talk about this. As long as you stop making a scene in my office, I'll try to meet whatever demands you have." As soon as Jason's parents heard this, their eyes lit up. They exchanged a look as if they had me cornered. Susan immediately turned smug, her voice dripping with superiority. "Oh, now you're scared, huh? Why didn't you act like this earlier? We're not unreasonable people, you know." Then she switched gears, her expression darkening and her tone taking on a more threatening edge. "But there has to be some compensation, right? Look at what you did to Jason. You ruined his job, and that's a huge loss. What are we supposed to do about that?" I acted like I was deep in thought, flipping through my wallet with a distressed look, biting my lip as if I were in some kind of financial crisis. "But I really don't have much left." I paused dramatically, giving them a pitiful look, the image of a helpless rabbit backed into a corner. I only have $15,000 left in my savings. I honestly can't give you more than that. Have mercy on me." At the mention of the $15,000, Jason's parents' eyes practically gleamed with greed. They didn't even notice my act. They were too busy eyeing me with hungry, calculating stares. Looks like they took the bait. At first, Jason's family hadn't planned on asking for an outrageous amount, but as soon as they heard I only had $15,000 left, their eyes lit up like wolves spotting their prey. $15,000? Well, fine. We'll take $15,000 as compensation for my son's emotional distress. If you don't give it to us, we won't leave you alone. We won't just cause trouble at your office. We'll go to your house, to your parents' house. After all, we have nothing left to lose. There's nothing you can do to scare us. Susan sneered as she spoke, her expression full of malice and threat. I immediately gave in, pretending to be intimidated. I quickly pulled out a check, speaking in a soft and anxious tone. Okay, fine. I'll give you what you want, but please don't go to my parents. I put on a pained expression, but in my mind I was already calculating. $15,000? That's just enough for them to spend 3 to 5 years in prison. To make sure I had proof, I even suggested we sign a compensation agreement. It clearly stated that once the money was paid, they would guarantee they'd never harass me again. The moment Jason's parents heard that, they eagerly nodded and immediately signed the agreement, pressing their fingerprints onto it. Jason hesitated for a moment, suspicious after being tricked by me so many times before. Mom, something doesn't feel right. Emily's not that easy to deal with. Be careful, it might be a scam. But Susan, her eyes fixed on the money, wasn't listening. She was thrilled and said, "The money's almost in our hands and you're still doubting?" She didn't give Jason a chance to second-guess and quickly signed the agreement. I, too, acted quickly, handing over the $15,000 check to Jason. They left, celebrating, thinking they'd won. But as soon as they were gone, I immediately dialed 911 and reported them. It was like a dramatic twist in a story. Just recently, Jason's family had accused me of scamming him for money, and now they themselves had become the defendants in a blackmail case. Even the police were stunned. When Jason was called into the station, his face dropped completely. He looked utterly defeated, clearly realizing he had walked straight into my trap. But Jason's parents were still clueless, not understanding the gravity of the situation. They were still yelling, "How can this be blackmail? She gave us the money voluntarily." Susan angrily pointed at the contract, shouting, "Look, it says clearly here that she gave us the money willingly." The officer glanced at the contract, a slight smirk appearing at the corner of his mouth. "Oh, willingly." He looked at them with raised eyebrows. "Well, let's see. The contract clearly states, after receiving this money, the Miller family must cease all harassment of Emily Carter." That's pretty much a textbook case of blackmail and threats. Jason's family went silent. They finally realized something was wrong, but it was too late. The police immediately ordered Jason to return the $15,000 and closed the case with charges of blackmail. In the end, the court ruled. Jason, as the main conspirator, was sentenced to 5 years in prison for blackmail. Susan and Robert, as accomplices, were each sentenced to 3 years. After finally getting rid of that family, I talked with my parents about moving to a new city. Who knew if they'd come back to make more trouble once they got out? Later, I turned this battle of wits with a crazy man and his family into a novel, and to my surprise, it became somewhat popular on various platforms. I hope my experience can serve as a warning to all girls. Choose your partners carefully. Every girl is the most wonderful being in the world, deserving of all the love and all the wealth.